Don't be hating on my remix.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Hater.
Welcome to episode 96 of the Married into Crazy podcast. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And she's crazy.
And Lovey's a hater.
She is crazy.
We were doing our intro, and I was doing my little bit of a remix. I don't beatbox, so I was doing my own little spin on whatever. And he's all frowning at me. And
it was pretty seductive. She had a microphone in hand, and she kept blowing on the microphone. And so I was just like, "What? What? First of all, her mic wasn't even on.
It was on.
It was not. She's over here
on.
On.
It was on.
On.
You said her microphone wasn't even on.
It was my accent. I was getting my accent on.
You have no accent.
The accent's going to come into play in just a little bit because we're going to talk about my friend in France. But first, before we go there,
okay, he's going to say, "Don't ever do that again."
No, so here's the funny thing. It's not even funny. We just came out of the July 4th holiday. What were we going to say?
We're going to do you got to sign up, talk about the workshop.
Okay. So, I gave her rules of the road, and I'm not even following them.
Exactly.
So we want to thank everybody for actually joining us yet again here on the podcast. And one of the things we'd love for you to do is to go to Apple Podcasts, and not only do we want you to put 5 on it, give us 5 stars, but also give a review. Talk about how the podcast has actually made a difference in your life, in your relationship, or that you share it with other people. We are asking that you also share, so that way you expand the conversation, bring more people into the fold, so that way it's a more robust conversation. Today we did a live on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live. So, like Lovey said, it's not just about giving us a rating. We also love and appreciate the feedback. So, we get some questions, and today when we did our Facebook Live and Instagram Live, we actually read a couple of the questions that were sent to us. So, keep them coming. I mean, I'm enjoying answering them and just having fun with it.
We randomly select them. And so, as it turns out, one of the questions, we tabled it because it's going to be the topic of today's podcast. But we also recommend that everyone signs up for the Married into Crazy Communication Workshop for couples as well as singles, for those individuals that are aspiring to be in a relationship. Or if you, like I said, last month we had a person that their fiancés actually participated. And that was a nice little different perspective. It wasn't just married couples. So join it. It's on the website. Go to marriedintocrazy.com/coaching. Scroll until you actually see the workshop. Go ahead and register, and you will actually end up getting an assessment as well. You get the Married into Crazy assessment. As you know, I'm an extreme execution coach, and I use the DISC in order to help couples to really communicate, get to know themselves as well as each other. But without further ado, we want to actually get into this past weekend. So it was the July 4th weekend, the July 4th holiday season, and while people were barbecuing and shooting off fireworks and doing all of that, we were quarantined.
Yeah, so COVID has hit our family, and my brother-in-law actually was diagnosed with COVID. And so our child, who spends time over there, she actually did the responsible thing, and we had her get tested too. So in the meantime, before she got her results back, she was pretty much quarantined into her room. So
everybody inside the house walking around with masks. It was crazy. So when he got his positive test result back for COVID-19, then it was a cascade of things. And it was like, oh wait, when was Shanti over there? And then so his wife, my sister-in-law and our niece. So it shut everything down. So the youngest daughter wasn't happy because she had plans.
Oh my gosh.
And so she couldn't go anywhere, do anything. We got the baby up out of here. Yeah. So the baby went to go stay with his aunt and actually got out And it was just, it was crazy. We couldn't go anywhere, do anything. It was an absolute mess.
No, actually, Lovey says that it really wasn't a mess. I mean, maybe for the girls it was a mess, but we had no plans. So I was like, oh, okay. I got to sit on the couch again.
She did.
So I actually took my hair down. So that's all I did. So it wasn't like it was a big interruption or anything. I'm just happy that obviously she tested negative. So that's a good thing. But just praying for my brother-in-law, and we've been in contact. He's feeling great. He's like, it is what it is. God is always in control. So
always.
Yeah.
And we're not making light of it because we know that there are a lot of families. I know people who have lost family members as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And so we just really want to let everybody out there know that we're thinking about you. We are praying. We do say a prayer for the nation. And we are really hoping that at some point everyone gives it the amount of attention and treats it as serious as it can be. And I'm not going to get into a debate over why you should or shouldn't wear a mask. But if you want to know why, then go look at one of our previous Married Minutes, because we do address it several weeks back, actually several months back
I
now.
was about to say, that was a minute ago.
Yeah. So go ahead and go ahead and check that out. But so earlier today when we did our Facebook Live, like Snook said, there was some Mailbag Mischief. We read a couple of questions, but then, oh, you're going to read it? Go ahead. So Snooks is going to read this question that came from Audric, all the way from France.
Audric, and I didn't tell him to butcher the accent. I don't know what he was trying to do. So the email says, "Hey, sir." I'm actually a female, but it was addressed to Lovey. I'm just playing. "How are you? Today I was listening to an episode of your podcast, Opposite Attracts. I was wondering, you have been married with your wife for 23 plus years, and I'm listening to the way you two make jokes together, have an incredible bond, know each other so well, ... And my question is, how do you manage to never get tired of the other person in a relationship and keep the flame alive?"
Great question, and thank you for getting me in a lot of trouble earlier, Audric, because
he told me, Audric, that the flame is not alive, and I get on his nerves.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that the flame is not alive. I said that every now and then you got to throw some kindling on that flame.
Some lighter fluid.
A little lighter fluid. That's
charcoal.
Now that's a fire. No, so it's funny that you asked that, because that is one of the things that a lot of married couples and couples at large go through, is when you've been together for a very long time, people wonder, well, aren't you tired of that individual? How do you keep that going? And I know that for us, as everybody knows, year 4 was a very difficult, well, the first 4 years of our marriage were extremely difficult. We can even call it up to the first 5, because there was that recovery period where we were really trying to figure things out and work on our marriage. But for the greater majority of it, is just you always have to reinvent yourself. And this is mine. I mean, we're going to do like a he said, she said type thing, because I like to hear what you have to say. Mm-hmm. But I think you're constantly reinventing yourself. I believe as a man that there are certain times in your life where you go through a rediscovery as well as a metamorphosis, if you will. There's that part when you're a young guy and you're coming up and you don't have a care in the world. You're 19, 20, whatever, as you're coming up and you're starting to get out into the world. And some people are very serious, but the great majority don't really know what they want, where they want to go with things, what they want to do. And if you get into a relationship, you have to understand that you go from caring about self and conquest, so to speak,
wow,
to I can only speak for myself.
Okay. And
then moving into where you start to care for another individual, like hanging out with somebody, to the point where you get a little bit more mature and advanced, to where it's like, that you're not the center of the story anymore. You're now more enthused about becoming a supporting character. You want to go from best leading actor to sometimes in a relationship best supporting actor, because that's where, for some of us, as you mature, you get that joy. And the reason why I say all of that is because when you get into a relationship for a long period of time, you have to find joy in things other than yourself being the center of the universe. And it's in that rebuilding of self, that rephrasing of your position, that I think that makes things easy, because you're always looking for different ways to contribute rather than waiting for somebody else to make you the center of their world.
Wow, that was a lot. Because I still think I'm the center. So
You are the center of my universe.
No, I'm playing. I agree with that as far as having to take other people into consideration when you get into a relationship. I think that for us, one thing that we have going for each other, or how we our bond and how we get along and we joke, we actually like each other. And so that's a big thing, because you could be married to someone and just love them to death, but you really don't necessarily care to spend a lot of time with that person, just because you may not like, or their attitude, or you love them because they're a great person, they're a good mother, or they're a good father, and they're a good provider, and they take care of the bills or what have you. But that person, their personality might just grate on your nerve, or you may be staying in the relationship because that's just what you've always been told that you do. You don't divorce, and you stay in there and you hang out for the kids, and it's like you don't know how to. Some people, when they're in a relationship, don't know how to die to self, if I can say that, because everything is always going to be, like you kind of touched on, Lovey, they are the center of the universe, and they have that. Well, what about me? Well, what about my needs? Well, what about me? Well, how come I, and how come she, and stuff like that. We don't necessarily do that. One thing I feel that how we still keep it together, and you have my back regardless, and I'll just say this, I'm gonna be very honest. And one thing that Lovey and I like to do, we are very transparent when we talk about our relationship. In no way, shape, or form does it mean that we do not get on each other's nerves. Oh my goodness, because there are times when I'm like, if you don't get away from me, I promise I'm gonna spoon you or something, And I don't mean like hug spoon. I have a spoon in my hand.
I'm gonna try and carve my heart out with a spoon.
So where?
Guaranteed.
I'm like, say something else. I promise you. Say something else. But I mean, we have those moments, but that's a key word, moments. They are they're moments, and they're fleeting. So it's not the norm for us to just all the time we get on each other's nerves. And even when we have our days sometimes where we're just like, real nitpicky, but we realize and we recognize that about ourselves. I'm like, okay, I am tripping, because he's a little bit over the top, but he's not that much over the top. I know I'm adding into, so let me just go on and go in here, or he'll say the same thing.
You can be extra.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, because I'll just be like, I'll go in the office. How you going to talk about me on the podcast?
I'm just saying. I'm just keeping it real.
No, but yeah, sometimes I am a lot. Ooh, I am a lot. I feel so sorry for him at times. I'm like, oh, you poor man. And then he'll do something to get on my nerve. I'm like, and that's what you get, because you're stuck with me.
See, but the beauty of it all is that we said it a long time ago, and there was a meme many moons ago, but it was, we're perfectly imperfect and perfect for each other.
Tailor-made, baby.
And I think that's it's not just us. A lot of the couples that we interviewed during the COVID-19 series, when we did the COVID couples, one thing that each of the couples talked about, honestly, was that they touched upon how none of them were perfect. They had imperfections, and yet they were made for each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that recognizing that no one is perfect, that, basically your stuff, we all think that, oh, my stuff don't stink. Well, everybody's stuff stinks on any given day. And recognizing that and knowing that you're not above it all and accepting it, but more importantly, that your spouse, your partner accepts that as well. And they love the little imperfections that are a part of you, and they accept them. Even on the days they don't want to. Like, look, Snooks and I, she is the center of my universe. I love her. I don't always like her.
He don't.
But I love me some Snooks.
He does.
And a lot of the couples that we talk to, they love each other.
And I think that that's one thing too. I mean, at the end of the day, I know that you love me. I know that you love me. And, for me, that makes a big difference. That's huge, because there are couples that I've talked to, one spouse or the other, and you say, "Oh well, yeah, I know he loves me," or the level of the trust in the love is like, yeah, it's kind of like a mediocre type of. I don't have that level of, well, I know he loves me. Like, well, I mean, I guess because we're married. I don't have any of that. I'm like, oh, my man loves me. Lovey will love him some Snooks forever. Lovey loves Snooks. That could be a movie. And my family knows that, and my kids know that. So I don't have a fear of saying whatever. I don't have a fear of, not being my true self, because I know that the love that you have for me will overshadow the amount of dislike you may have on any given day because I'm acting extra or something like that. I trust in that love, and that's what keeps our bond.
And so it's not even, I don't want to make this 100% about us, because that's how
it's our show.
That's how we are. She's like, it's all about us.
I'm just playing.
No, but see, and I think therein lies the key. So Audrey, when you ask how do we keep the flame alive, it's not about the flame. I think that there's so many movies, there's so many songs that makes it sound like, you got to keep the flame, but it's really more about, the kindling, the things that you surround the flame with. The flame is fleeting. The flame is it's a central focus point, but the flame can die out at any moment. How does the flame keep going? It's the wick, it's the wax, it's all the other things that go around it. And sometimes, like if you're out in a campfire and the fire is going out, you don't add more fire, you don't add more flame. What you do is you add more kindling, you add more pieces of wood, you add other components to it. You change the scenario, right? So if the wood's dying out and whatever, what do? You adjust the wood, you poke it, you move it around, you have to readjust it in order to keep the flame going. And then a lot of times when you readjust the log, the fire gets stronger, the fire gets brighter, the fire burns deeper. Because if you left it alone to stay in the exact same position that it was always in, it burns out.
That's a very good point. I like it. And that is why I love me some him.
Well, and so that's a lesson to all of us, that when things are getting a little stale and things aren't quite the way that we think they should be, or we feel like something's missing, you need to take some inventory and ask yourself, am I staying in the same spot? It's not that our relationship is in the same spot. What am I doing? Mm-hmm. Am I a log that is, a bump in a log? Am I a log that's just staying in the exact same spot? Or am I willing to make an effort to reposition, to deepen the fire, to kind of rekindle, to get things going again?
And sometimes doing that rekindling and, getting things going, it's not always easy. Sometimes those logs are very heavy. When you think about the campfire, you don't just have one log on there. You have a ton of logs, or not a ton, but you have several logs on there because you want to make sure that the fire keeps going. But so when it's time to turn the logs, or so that you can shift things and get the fire going again, sometimes it's hard and they don't fall in the spot where you want them to fall in to get the right oxygen to make the flames go back up. And so you have to be willing to, sometimes it takes a little bit while you get burned. Sometimes it's hot. And then you just have to, trying to make it work. And it's not just a one person job either. It might take two people to, look at me talking campfire analogy. I don't camp at all, but I'm just saying, it is that thing. It's not just by itself. I think about we talked, like you said, about year 5 or year 4 for us, when we had to readjust and reevaluate our relationship, whether are we going to stay together? Are we going to make it work? What are we going to do? So it wasn't that we decided that we're going to stay together and keep doing the same stuff. We had to turn the logs, and we got burned, and it was hot and it was hard, and those logs were heavy, and someone don't want to budge or whatever. So we had to put work in it, and that's how we had to readjust. And okay, so now we get to sit back and let the fire warm us, and the benefits of the warmth and the crackling and the crackling or whatever. And then sometime later we have to adjust
Adjust again.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Do you remember? I think a couple of years ago, we went over to Cousin April's house. Had a bonfire in the backyard. It was good.
In the backyard, yes.
So they had a bonfire in the backyard, and so it was funny. A lot of the ladies.
Oh yeah, you guys were over there. I remember. Yeah.
So a lot of the ladies were over by the patio where the bar was at, and they were hanging out and
we were
sitting.
eating.
So they were sitting over there chatting it up, and so a lot of the fellas gathered around the fire, and so Cousin Eric and us, we were sitting there, and the fire was dying, and it was funny because each of the guys had an idea of how.
Everybody thought they knew what they was doing.
It was so funny because it was like, what you need to do is you need to move the fire over there. It's not getting on the oxygen. Now you got to stack it up. You got to go like TP. You got to put it up like this. And it was funny because everybody had a way of doing it. But what it really came down to is, when you had one guy that was trying to do it without listening to the other ones, it wasn't really working. But when all of us kind of chimed in, no, try this over here. Okay, and you're right, because one person ended up having a poker, another person ended up having, went to the fireplace inside, got the poker, and then another person ended up having like a really long stick. It wasn't quite a log, but it was a stick, and it took a couple of us to reposition it and get it just right. And one time we had to hold up one part of the log that was really on fire, but the other one that wasn't quite getting burned just right. And so then the other person had to adjust it. So those other guys that chimed in, that worked, let's consider that your iron tribe. Because we talk about surrounding yourself with an iron tribe. And we have a private community on Facebook, and we invite those individuals that have been a part of our workshops as well as our prior guests and some of the clients that we work with, and they're all part of this private community. And the idea of it, the premise of it is, think of, again, us standing around a fire, and it takes those individuals that you selectively invited to within your life, within your iron tribe, to help you reposition those logs, reposition that fire, so that way your fire stays alive and it is warming to the heart and the environment. And I share all of that, and I bring that up because another part of this, Audric, is an easy way, a cheat code for keeping your fire hot, the flame hot, is surrounding yourself with individuals that are going to help you do that. They're just as committed to the mission of keeping the fire hot. So the easiest way for your fire to get cold is for you to go do something and nobody checks you and say, hey man, you know what, you shouldn't be doing that, or you shouldn't talk to that person, or come on, what about so-and-so? I mean, you've got to have people around you that are in it for your greater good as well. So we talked earlier about us as couples, just as a couple singularly, do what we need to do to change, to do certain things, but it helps tremendously if you've got people in your corner and around you that you can double date with, that can add a little spice. Because when you talk to somebody in your iron tribe, and you, not that you're trading secrets or whatever, but you can always ask each other, people that you trust, that you know that are just as committed to their relationship, hey, so what are you guys doing, like to kind of keep the spice going? What are you guys doing to liven things up? What are you guys doing to, keep love alive, keep hope alive for the love, all of that. And it's a big part of it, because you're not in this alone. If you're around good people, amazing couples want to be surrounded by other amazing couples, and they want to do things with other amazing couples. So you bend over backwards to make sure that you check in with them, that you have accountability, and that their fire is burning just as bright as yours. Because when yours is dying down, you might need to ask one of them to help you reposition one of your logs, so that way you can get your fire going, or at least stoke the fire that much more.
That's very true, because we're in a relationship, and we're in a relationship together. But when you have some people that are going along the journey with you, it does aid, But what if you don't have anybody? What if you don't have friends? Say that you're in the service or something like that. I use that because, people travel and they go different places. What if you don't know anyone and you only have each other? That's when your superpowers need to come into full effect, because there's nobody else. Those Wonder Twin powers have to activate. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's important to be friends with one another, because when you're having moments, you're down or something, who do you want to talk to? I want to talk to my friend. I go and I want to talk. I call my friend or whatever. If Lovey's my friend, Lovey used to get so mad at me. I think sometimes he still does. Whenever something would go wrong, I'm gonna say you get mad at me, but you're like, if I'm driving and my check engine light or something would come on, I remember, and I would be like, oh my God, because I'm far away or whatever, and or something would happen, and he's the first person I call, and he's like, babe, did you call AAA, or did you? I'm like, no, I called you. He's like, what can I do? I'm far away, but I'm calling to tell you, So he's my go-to, and I think it's important to have for your spouse, your significant other, to be that go-to person. You don't ever want to find out something third hand, or, oh yeah, this person told me, well, how come you didn't tell me, And like I said about liking each other, when I like you, it's important for me.
She said when.
I didn't mean it like that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, when you like someone, that their happiness is important to you, right? You don't ever want to see them upset or sad or what have you. So you try to find out little things that, oh, let me try to brighten their day up or make them happy, or the focus is not just on you as just the individual, it's on the other person. So you're trying to brighten up their day, make them happy some kind of way, or do something like that. And you just find it's important. See, this is the thing about relationships, I think, too. It's not just about, relationships are not, obviously we know this, they're not surface level or very superficial. There are many people who get caught up in relationships because someone is cute, or they got a nice body or something like that. Well, the body may change, the looks will fade or whatever. So what is it that's deep within them that has drawn you to them? So that when the outer layer, the surface layer, it changes, what's going to keep you there? What's going to, you know how people always say, you see an older man or someone who's may not be, in our eyes, we may not think they're attractive, or they're way out of shape, and their spouse is like this beautiful person or very fit or very whatever. And people have said, oh, he must got money. Oh, she must have money, or she must be doing whatever. So we look at that kind of stuff because we're so we're superficial in that what we see is what we think it is. So he's cute, so I want to be with him. He might be a jerk or something like that, but I want people to see me with a cute guy, and so I could be the envy, or I could be whatever. No, it needs to be what's deep in that person innately. What is it about that person that drew you, that's going to keep you, not just that drew you. So we have to make sure that there's something that we have in common, because if something was to happen to you, we're together, and I have to be able to stand you, and I have to be able to spend time with you, and we don't get sick of each other. So it's very important, I feel like, how you choose your spouse or your mate or the person that you're going to be with. Take some serious time and don't just jump into anything, because if I say till death do us part, that's what we say, then that's what we should mean. We're talking longevity. When you make investments, you don't just pick the first stock. Hopefully you're smart and you have someone that is knowledgeable, or you did some research on whatever it is that you're investing your money in. So we should do the same thing when we're investing our hearts and when we're investing our time, especially when we're talking about long relationships and stuff like that.
Hey, I say amen to all the above.
Amen.
So it's funny, though, when she said you have to have something in common. I know that it's funny, this entire conversation is being sparked from our podcast episode that says opposites attract. And it's true, and I don't want people to get confused and say, like, oh, well, you just said you have to have something in common. Remember when, in that episode of Opposites Attract, we did say that even though you might have different interests, and that way it gives you something to talk about, the thing that we said was common were your values. Your values. It's going to always come back to your core values. Mm-hmm. If you value love, you value respect, you value, that the idea of marriage, the concept of that covenant, the spark is always going to be there. It's going to be like Transformers. It's going to be like the Allspark. It's
That's very true.
it's always going to be there. And as long as you don't veer away from those values and bury them, you're going to be just fine. I think it's going to be easy. No, it won't be easy. It's going to be easier to actually maintain that and know that you're kind of walking that path. But I can't emphasize enough that you need to surround yourself with the right people as well to help you keep that your focus, if you will.
Well, it's funny because you know, we say marriage is hard, and it's hard because of the work that it entails. Not so much that it's hard. This is just me. It's not hard because my feelings might change or whatever. It's outer forces that are hard. You know, sometimes the bills, sometimes all these different things. But the relationship part of it, you and I, that's easy. So when you say easier, I'm like, it's just easy, period. Just because of who we are, of the foundation and the whatever that we have. It's not going to change for me. I mean, unless you do something just absolutely just ridiculously crazy. I can't even name something that, you know, because we're here. This is us.
I thought she knew about the Lamborghini I bought and parked in the driveway.
It's okay.
As if I could.
Community property state. I keep saying that.
You know, so hopefully, Audric, that answers your question. I hope we've actually shed some light or given some thought or some food for thought.
And can I just say this too? I'm sorry. So don't ever, it's okay to get tired of each other. Let's just say that. It is okay to get tired of each other as long as you don't get tired. And I'm just throwing a towel in. But you're allowed to have your moments where you're like, I just don't want to be bothered right now. I love you to death. But I don't want to be bothered. And
it's not human. It's not humanly possible to sit there. And as much as I love me some snooks.
Goodness, as much as he loves him some snooks.
She gets on my last nerve.
Ooh, sometimes he'll look at me and I'm like, ooh,
she can see it. Like,
not
I'm
very
like,
nice.
If you just, I'm like, I'm going to go over here right now because I'm about to say something that is not going to be cool.
But I
value my life. So.
And he doesn't, it's not from a place of malice. Or, you know, when he says that, oh, let me go over here. Or, and the same for me. I'm like, okay, I just can't right now. That doesn't detract any my love or whatever from him. I'm just human. My nerve ends are at where they are. And it's like, okay, I just need a moment.
Look, Snooks has this look. She gives this look.
No, I don't.
And it's funny. Nobody else gets this look in this house except for me. I'm the only one that gets this. There is a look.
Wow, did you see him cut his eyes?
There is a look. And she will give me that but it stops me in my tracks where I'm like, I could be mid-sentence on a rant and she'll give me that look and I'm like, let me just shut up and go in the other room.
That's so funny.
And so I'll bounce for that moment. But look, the blessing is in the relationship, and as long as you know that the blessing is there, just know that the blessings waver. There's times when I say blessings waver, meaning that
Come on, explain that.
Even in the midst of a blessing, just because you have a blessing doesn't mean you're not going to come up on difficult times.
That's right.
So, you know.
Doesn't mean that there's not going to be a storm. That doesn't mean that, you know. I look at it like that just means I have someone to weather the storm with.
Yep.
I don't have to go through it by myself.
Yep.
So.
That's it. So, with that said, I think that we should end that. You know, this mailbag extravaganza. We went deep on a singular question, and we've got some other items that are coming up in the next several episodes, and we think we've settled. I'm not going to tell you, but we think we've settled on what we're going to be doing for our 100th episode. We're kind of excited about it.
Did we? No.
So it'll be a little different, but we're looking forward to it. So stick around for that. Make sure you tell your friends again about the Married into Crazy podcast on all the different venues. It's on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on everything you can possibly download podcasts. Yep, it's everywhere. But the one that you can actually give a rating to is Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
So if you are listening in that particular venue or that form of media, we ask for that 5-star or whatever you think we deserve, but definitely add a review.
5. I deserve 5. I don't know. Levy sometimes.
Sometimes I know I only deserve a 3. So we've gone through the last 40 weeks. I should say 20 weeks because there's 40 here, so we each pull one. Mm-hmm. So for the last 20 weeks, we've actually gone through the I Can for couples. And this is the affirmation tool that's available on our website. If you just go there, it's $10.95. go ahead and jump on that, get that, do them little things. So,
talk to me.
no, go
I
ahead.
used to go and jump on
So you
that.
shake it up and you pull out your affirmations for those of you that are not. So it's a little loud, but
Sorry.
we're each going to reach in and pull an affirmation, and this is going to be the focus for the week. So
we refilled them because we went through all of them. So now we dumped them back.
see, here's the beauty
So
of
I
it.
get to make noise.
Just because you
again.
do something once doesn't mean that's the only time you have to do it. Like when you get the one that says, I can gaze into my partner's eyes, that doesn't mean you only do it once because you pulled it. That means that you should be doing this. We're trying to create habits.
That's right.
These little habits.
You don't take the car once to get an oil change. You have to keep doing it, right?
Some people
once
don't
to
take
get
the car
gas.
once. Some people have to remind Snooks to take the car.
I have a car that whatever, Lovey. Okay, I'll go first. I can do the grocery shopping,
Oh, good, because I pulled that one last week.
and
That's
he's
funny.
appreciative of it.
Very much so. I can love my partner unconditionally. And what does that mean exactly? It means I gotta love her no matter what.
I was like, you don't know?
So I will love you unconditionally.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we invite each and every one of you out there to take the affirmations that we just pulled, adopt them as your own, or take that step to go ahead and get your own I Can for couples so you can actually create this practice and implement it into your homes as well.
This is also a good tool for someone who may be struggling on how to, keep the process going. Like Audric was saying, how do you keep the flame alive? And if you make it fun, like these little, who can do it the best? I can go grocery shopping. Lovey said he can love me unconditionally. It's not a contest, but, how well did you perform your affirmation? It's a contest
Even if you do
for
get
me.
competitive with it, what better competition than to see who can love each other
We
better?
can love each other the best, the mostliest.
The mostly is. It's from one of those Grandma Lula things.
Yes.
This is my Grandma Lula. So listen, everyone, we are very, very, very thankful. We express much gratitude for your listenership. We ask that you continue to share, tell a friend, tell another friend, tell all your friends, tell your mama, your friend, your cousin, tell everybody about the Married into Crazy podcast. And don't sleep on the workshop. The workshop is going to be the last Saturday of the month. I can't remember if it's the 23rd, 25th. What is that? What is it? July would be the 25th.
Oh.
So it's going to be July 25th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time till approximately 11 to 11:30 a.m. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth your time. And it's an investment of your time and of your love and of your effort, but not of your money because it's free. This is on us. We used to charge, we were going to charge $125. That's the going rate. That's what we were. And people were registered. And once COVID hit, we just kind of completely backed out and said, we just want to provide the service. So this is a gift from us to you because we are committed to helping 1 million couples. That's our goal. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're charged with. And that's our mission. And this is one way we're able to do that. And so we're asking for your assistance in our mission and our goal. Another one of our goals is that for the remainder of this year, at the end of every podcast, we will be observing silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We're doing our part for social justice and giving an opportunity for reflection on how you as a couple can help make your community better. So,
Also, just saying, everyone out there, stay safe because apparently numbers are kind of going back up with the coronavirus and some states are open up, some states have closed back down again, certain things, but stay safe because it is no joke, just everyone be careful and be safe.
absolutely. So, until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.